Welcome back to High Stakes. Elevate your game by subscribing to our channel so you never miss our daily content. For exclusive access to our premium betting picks, join our Patreon. Find the link in the comments section below. Stay ahead with High Stakes. Appalachian State versus East Carolina. Looking at their recent history, the Mountaineers have won the last two meetings, including a 43-28 win last season. This shows that they can dominate the Pirates. Do not be surprised for this to wind up being a trap game for East Carolina, as well as next week's game against the Liberty Flames is going to be massive and could get them into a whole other level in the consensus. East Carolina has a -6 turnover ratio through their first two games, and App State is a team that can exploit that. Jake Garcia has failed to get going this season, and this should be a massive advantage for the Mountaineers. Go with the Appalachian State Mountaineers to bounce back here and cover the spread on the road. Both of these teams have committed a lot of turnovers through the first two games of the regular season, so the opposition is going to be getting short fields to operate with. Both offenses have also shown the ability to run the football effectively, as App State is averaging 5.5 yards per carry, while East Carolina is running for 3.8 yards per attempt up to this point. App State's defense showed significant weaknesses last week against the Clemson Tigers. These teams also have been able to stay healthy, and having the key players on the offensive side of the field specifically is going to sustain drives and put touchdowns on the board. All in all, go with over 60.5 total points to be scored in this game as the better option. Troy versus Iowa. Troy's season needs to get going after a 38-17 road loss against the Memphis Tigers in their most recent game. Quarterback Matthew Caldwell, going 11-for-19 with 113 passing yards as well as 4 rushes for 6 yards, 1.5 yards per attempt, plus a rushing touchdown on the ground, has been a bright spot in the offense. The Trojans were able to do a lot better running the football, as the team ran 34 times for 101 yards, 3.0 yards per carry, with a pair of rushing touchdowns in this game. Iowa was unable to step up in their most recent game as they lost the Cy-Hawk Series game at home 20-19 against their state rival Iowa State Cyclones. The Hawkeyes blew a 13-point lead in that game. Quarterback Cade McNamara had a brutal game as he went just 13 of 29 for 99 yards with a pair of interceptions. This is the first time that these teams are playing one another in program history, so this will be a great test. Cade McNamara is not going to play that poorly in back-to-back weeks, while Troy has allowed 33.0 points per game this season against Nevada and Memphis. The Trojans are not going to be able to apply much pressure, as they have failed to record a single sack this season or force a single turnover. Iowa's defense is still solid despite losing some solid talent from last year's team. There is a reason why the Hawkeyes were ranked last week, and it is because they are the better team here. Go with the Iowa Hawkeyes to bounce back with a commanding win in this game and cover the spread inside Kinnick Stadium. This is a very low total, and while I understand why the number is sitting where it is, this is not enough. The number dropped a full point from where it opened, so we are getting a bit of value in terms of the number here. Both teams have shown the ability to keep drives going when they get to third down this season. The Trojans are currently 18-for-32, 56.25% at converting on third down, while the Hawkeyes are 13 of 32, 40.63% in those same situations thus far. Iowa put up 19 points in 3 quarters against Iowa State and should easily top 30 in this one. All in all, go with over 38.5 points to be scored in this game. UAB versus Arkansas. Head coach Trent Dilfer's University of Alabama Birmingham of the AAC is 1-1 on the season after a 4-8 2023. They defeated Alcorn State in Week 1 but suffered a disappointing loss at the hands of UL Monroe 32-6 in Week 2. They were favored by 11 in the game, giving them a 1-1 ATS record, and both matches fell under the identical 55.5 posted by the book. The Blazers' road woes continue as the program was unable to win a road game last season, 0-5, and dropped their first this year. According to WVTM 13, Coach Dilfer admitted that he hasn't found the secret sauce to winning on the road. The Arkansas Razorbacks were a decent team in 2023 but suffered defeats in too many close games, ultimately leaving them with a 1-7 SEC record and 4-8 overall. To help get the program over the hump, the Razorbacks reacquired Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator. Petrino had a 21-5 record as head coach of the program from 2010 to 2011. Though the offense was one of the top-performing units on the weekend, the squad still fell in a double overtime battle against Oklahoma State after leading for most of the game. Ultimately, it was Oklahoma State defensive stand in 2 OT sealing the win for the Cowboys 39-31 as 10-point favorites and an O/U of 60.5. Added to the ledger of close game defeats for Arkansas, the offense has been prolific in the first 2 weeks of 2024. Last week, junior QB Taylon Green's 416 passing yards was second in college football, and Jaquindon Jackson had the 8th most rushing yards with 149 and 3 touchdowns. In Week 1, the Razorbacks scored a touchdown on their first 10 offensive drives of the season, putting an exclamation point on Petrino's return. On the season, Arkansas is converting 71.43% of their third downs and converted 58% against OSU, which is about as good as it gets. You have to feel for UAB in this spot, as they are about to receive the full brunt of Arkansas's disappointment from last week. The Razorbacks are the first team since 2020 to put up 550-plus yards, including 200 more than their opponent, and lose the game, bringing that statistics record to 337-1. You can bet they are looking for revenge in this one in front of their home crowd. Especially since you basically have 2 head coaches in the locker room, including the legendary Bobby Petrino. 24.5 points is a large spread, but UAB already has fallen by a larger spread when they were defeated by ULM with a final score of 32-6, even though the Warhawks were 11-point dogs. The offensive firepower of Arkansas is absolutely good enough to get it done here. Lay the chalk at home with the Razorbacks. Minus 24.5 points. UAB scored just 6 points on the road at ULM and will be facing a tougher defense this weekend. This will make it difficult to get over the high total of 60 posted in this game. The reason for the high total is obviously Arkansas's ability to run up the scoreboard, but it is too high here. In fact, UAB has gone under a 55.5 in both their first games this season and have not figured out any consistency on offense. Arkansas's games have gone over in 6 straight, but the value is on breaking the trend here. Especially since UAB has performed so poorly on the road, dating back to last season, with a 4-1 split to the under in their last 5. Go under the 60. Utah versus Utah State. The Utes lost their previous 2 games played away from their home stadium against the spread, and their offense was limited to just 7 points in their 2023 Las Vegas Bowl appearance versus the Northwestern Wildcats. Utah has yet to exceed 20 points in 4 of their last 6 contests on the road dating back to last season. They were ineffective versus the spread in 2023, losing as many games as they won. They are off to a good start in 2024, but both games have been in front of the home crowd. The Aggies closed out winners of 3 of their last 4 home games against the spread last season. Their offense has excelled in front of their fans in recent games, scoring 32 points or more in 5 of their previous 6 games. The Aggies have the edge offensively in this contest, ranking 7th in the country in total yards per game last season. Utah State defeated Utah straight up and against the spread in their previous matchup. The starting quarterback for the Utes is questionable, as he has an injury to his throwing hand for the upcoming contest. The stats and trends strongly support a Utah State victory against the spread at home on Saturday. Take Utah State getting over 20. Both teams ranked in the top half among their peers in multiple offensive categories last season, with the Aggies ranking 7th in the country in total yards per game with 646. So both squads have the tools to score quickly in bunches. The Utes have gone over the point total and gave up 32 more points to their opponents in their previous 3 games on the road dating back to last season. Their defense gave up 42 points to their opponent in their previous matchup on the road, a loss to the Wildcats in Arizona. The Utes scored 49 points against their opponent in Week 1. The last matchup between these two squads exceeded the point total, with 56 points scored. The Aggies scored 36 points in Week 1 at home, exceeding the point total in 5 of 6 games in front of the home crowd last season. Their defense ranked towards the bottom of the league in several key defensive categories last year. They gave up 362 yards of total offense per game and 48 points to the Trojans last week. Most signs point to a higher scoring affair in Utah on Saturday. Take the over.